So I have enough time today to do another story time. So this is story time on how my sister and my cousin ran away together. So me and Paris are around the same age. I'm changing these names because I don't want their information out there. I do want to do these story times, but I don't want all their information out there. So me and Paris are around the same age. We're a couple months apart. And then my sister and Paris's older sister are around the same age. So my sister is L'Oreal and my cousin is Maybelline. So Maybelline and L'Oreal decided that it'd be a good idea to sleep in my grandparents' room. We all lived in the same house. So we all had like these rooms where we would sleep in. So like one whole family would sleep in one room, the other family sleep in another room. But my grandparents were out of town, so L'Oreal and Maybelline were like, we're gonna sleep in their room and you guys can't sleep with us. And I was like, well, this is like the only time that I don't have to sleep with my parents, so could I please sleep there? And me and Paris were like pretty upset, like, why can't we sleep with you guys? They're like, no, you guys can't sleep with us. So around like 8 or 9, they started showing us these outfits and they were like matching. They were all black, and like we were like, why are you guys wearing that? They're like, oh, we just wanted to show you guys our matching outfits. And I was like, okay, cool, that's cool. Like, so everybody wakes up like normal, and then my mom and Jessica, which is Maybelline and Paris's mom, they ended up like trying to go wake them up, and then they realized that they weren't there. The door was locked and everything, so they ended up like busting the door down, and then we realized that these fuckers climbed through the window. They took out the shutters from my grandma's window and they climbed through the window. And we have alarms and stuff, so I was like pretty confused. I'm like, how did the alarm not go off? They're like, we only have alarm on certain windows and the front and back door. So I was like, shit, okay, so what do we do now? And then my mom's like, well, do you know where they went? And I was like, I have no idea where they went. They're like, what did they do last night? And we're like, well, they showed us their matching outfits and blah blah. And me and Paris are like trying to give them information because we were kind of scared, but at the same time we're like not trying to be snitches. And they're like, okay, these fuckers ran away. And I was like, I don't think they did, maybe they went to a party. They're like, no, they ran away. And I was like, okay, fuck. So then we started looking for them for like 2 whole days, and then we told the police and everything, and the police were like, well, we can't file them missing until 48 hours or some shit. So my mom's like, okay, well, we're gonna go looking for them. And then the community just started giving us tips. They're like, oh, we seen them at the park, oh, we seen them here and there. And then we ended up like looking. So by the 3rd day we found them in an abandoned house, and when my mom found them, I was with them. My mom beat the shit out of my sister, and Jessica beat the shit out of her daughter. So we went back to the house, and then my mom's like, oh my god, you're fucking nuts, like, why the fuck would you do this, blah blah blah. And my sister was just like crying because she was getting the shit beaten out of her. Next thing you know, my mom starts cutting her hair. She starts literally cutting her hair. My sister's hair was pretty fucking long, like longer than mine, like it went to her fucking ass crack. So my mom just starts cutting away, and then Jessica's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing to my daughter. So she starts cutting her hair, but Jessica, like, you know, had her limitations. Jessica cut her daughter's hair to like her shoulders. My mom gave no fuck. She started cutting my sister's hair and cutting it, and then she ended up going to my sister's head with clippers. She ended up like literally shaving my sister's head, and she only left a little bit on the top. And she's like, since you want to fucking run away for whatever reason, I'm gonna cut your hair, and you're never gonna want to go outside, you're never gonna want to leave. And I just remember my sister was like crying, and they kept telling us to go to the room, like, stop being nosy. And I was like, but I want to see, you know. And then I realized that my fucking sister, so I realized that my sister got cut because she tried to put her hand in the way, and my mom cut it. And we were like being so dramatic. I was like starting to cry. I was like, oh my god, my sister's bleeding. And we were being so dramatic, and we all started crying, and I was like, holy shit. And then after the whole haircut situation, my sister was bald, and my cousin Maybelline, she had like Dora hair. And just after that whole situation, they still had the audacity to run away again. It was like almost a year later, and they just started doing that a lot. Not my sister, she only did it like one more time after that, but my cousin Maybelline, she was running away all the fucking time. And I mean, they had their reasonings. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the way to go. Please do not run away, because who knows what your parents are gonna do, but that's just what my mom and Jessica did. So that's just the story of how my sister and my cousin ran away. Sorry if you guys didn't like it. Okay, bye. I noticed that a lot of people are leaving stupid and irrelevant ass comments on my fucking video, so if you don't like it, how about you keep scrolling and fuck off. But for those of you who do care about my puny existence, this is a story time about how my graduation went to shit. So within a week of my graduation, a lot of things happened to me. I got the shit beaten out of me by my brother. There's a story time about that if you guys want to go watch it. And then my mom and my sister got in an argument like 3 days before my graduation. I heard screaming coming from the living room, and it was my mom and my sister fighting. So when I stepped out of my room and I went to the living room, they were pulling on my nephew. My sister was pulling on his arms and my mom was pulling on his legs, and I immediately stepped in because they were pulling on my infant ass nephew. And I grabbed him, and I was like, you know, trying to comfort him because he was crying. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you guys pulling on him? And my mom started screaming at my sister. She's like, she wants to leave and she wants to take him. That's not fucking right. I'm gonna call the cops on her. And my sister couldn't even talk because she was hysterically crying. And I was like, okay, like, everybody needs to calm down. So I took my sister outside, and I was like, what's going on? Like, tell me what happened. And I was holding my nephew. So then she told me that so my sister said that her and my mom were arguing and that she just had a lot of anxiety and that she wanted to leave with my nephew. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's your son. Like, where do you want to go? She said she wanted to go to Walmart. And I was like, I don't think that's the best idea because you're crying and you want to drive with your kid in the car. I was like, that's not safe. I was like, I'll go with you. I'll drive. And she's like, no, I want to go by myself. And I was like, what do you want to do? She's like, I literally just want to sit in the parking lot and cry. And I was like, wow, I feel that. I was like, okay, well, like, what can I do? And then I was like, actually, you can just share a location with me. And whenever you come back home, just come straight to my room. Don't talk to my mom. Don't make it worse. And she's like, okay, I'm going to do that. And I was like, please don't take long. I was like, please come back in an hour. If you don't come back in an hour, I'm going to go looking for you. And she had agreed. She's like, okay, I'm going to go straight to your room in an hour. Just please let me cool down. And I said, okay. So she left and I come back inside the house. And now my dad's out of his room, which is my parents' room. And he started screaming at me. He's like, what the fuck did you do? And I was like, what do you mean? My mom's like, where did she go? And I was like, she left. She went to Walmart. She's coming right back. She's like, why do you have to be in everybody's business? And then my mom went to her room. But my dad started screaming at me and started giving me all these insults. And he comes following me to my... So I keep walking into my room and my dad's following me to my room. He's giving me all these insults and all these fucking comments and all this just like shit. And I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. He's ranting. I'm just going to zone out. And I zoned out and then I zoned back in when he said, this is why you get hit. And I was like, what the fuck did he just say? And I was like, actually, I'm going to take that disrespect because that's what we do in that household. We get disrespected and we don't disrespect our parents. So it's like, cool. So I'm standing in the doorway and letting him finish. And then as soon as he finishes, he walks away and I close my door because we do not slam doors in that house. So I text my friends. I'm like, this and this just happened. Like, oh my God, like I'm so fucking tired of this house. And they're like, so what are you going to do? And I was like, well, he's not coming to my graduation. He can fucking forget about that. He's cut the fuck off. So the next day, the day of my graduation, I ended up telling my mom, I was like, hey, you can tell your husband that he doesn't need to come to my graduation. She's like, no, don't do this. And I was like, whatever, like I'm not even gonna argue it. So then I get ready at my friend's house. I do my makeup there. I go home to get dressed and my mom's in my room. She's doing her makeup. She starts crying. She's like, please tell him to come. Please tell him to come. I was like, he hasn't even asked, so I don't think he actually gives a fuck. She's like, how are you so heartless? Like, why are you like this? And she's crying. And I was like, maybe I learned it from you. Like, what? So my mom started threatening me. She's like, if your dad's not going, then I'm not going. And I was like, okay, you don't have to go either. And then she's like, okay, well, have a good day. And I was like, whatever, dude. So I ended up riding with my friends to graduation. And I just started getting in my feelings, seeing all these families, like, for my friends and stuff. And I was like, wow, I wish I had that. And then my brother ended up texting me, my older brother, not the brother that I got in a fight with. My older brother ended up texting me saying that he was going to go. And I was like, cool, better late than never, right? So then he gets there after the ceremony. He takes a picture with me. He gives me flowers. He was so sweet. And then he left. So I ended up going to Applebee's with my friend and her family. And they ended up paying for my bill. I tried to pay for it, but they're like, no, like, this is your day, you don't deserve to pay for it. And I was like, wow, I'm so happy. And my mom texted me, she's like, you need to be home by 10. It was already like 9:50, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get home on that time. And I was like, no, like, I'm tired of listening to your rules. I'm gonna stay out and I'll get home when I get home. I was kind of being bold, but I was like, you know what, fuck it at this point, right? Because I was going to the military in 2 months anyway, so it's like, fuck it. So at the end of the day, it wasn't that bad because I had really good people around me, but that's just how my graduation went to shit. If you don't like it, I'm so sorry, but that's it. Bye.
I met my girlfriend at a party one night. She seemed like a total daredevil type of chick who grabbed life by the horns. The night I met her, she jumped off of the roof of the house into the pool. This instantly caught my attention and I was immediately attracted to her. I quickly took my shot and started talking to her. We got along really well right off the bat and things started heating up quickly in no time. We would go on adventures all the time and it was great, until it wasn't. We'd been together for 8 months at this point when I started questioning what was really going on. There were multiple times when we went on an adventure and I felt like she almost got me killed. At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but over time, it became more of an occurrence on her part. For example, we went hiking on a rocky and dangerous trail with a huge drop-off. If anyone fell off of the side, they'd definitely be toast. At one point, when I was making it across, she ran up and tried to push me. Thankfully, I saw her in the corner of my eye and ducked so that she'd miss, but I was shocked. She started laughing and acting like it was a huge joke. I was genuinely terrified, but I moved past it because I thought she had a dark, twisted sense of humor. There's no way she'd actually try to push me, right? Well, my theory was definitely solidified when we went hunting together. She has expertise in this area as she grew up doing it, but I've only been a few times. At one point, she literally aimed the rifle at me from afar. When I yelled at her to stop and started freaking out, she had the craziest smile I've ever seen on her face. It was almost like a switch flipped. I really thought she was going to go through with it until another hunter in the area heard me yelling and came to see what was up. When she realized someone else was around, she quickly changed her aim and once again laughed it off like it was a big joke. After this, I knew I needed to get away from her and end the relationship. However, most of my things were still at her apartment and I didn't know how to go about it because at this point, I wasn't sure what she'd do. Part 2, I think my girlfriend is trying to unalive me. I borrowed her apartment key while she was at work and quickly grabbed all my things, including my laptop that I had let her use for school. When I got on it, I was shocked at what I found. There were a bunch of websites I didn't recognize, but after visiting them, I was terrified. She had frequented websites that included a lot of gore and death. From what I could tell, she was particularly interested in acts of torture and so on. She had even Googled different ways to make unaliving someone look like a complete accident. Additionally, there were also Google searches for how to fake certain emotions and empathy. Shortly after going through all of this, I got a text from her asking where I was and why I had taken all my things. I wasn't sure if I should go all in about the things I thought or if I should play it cool. cool. I had a bad feeling that this girl was dangerous and I didn't want to just let her think that she was safe to keep doing these things. I confronted her and told her about everything I found. I also told her what I think she's been doing in our relationship. At first, she tried to defend herself and once again act like it was all a joke. However, when she realized I wasn't buying it, she got angry. That's when she started spewing threats and told me that she should have pushed me off of the cliff on our hike. After this, I started ignoring her texts, but she kept blowing me up. Her texts were getting even more aggressive. I decided I'd deal with it the next day and went to bed. However, at 2 a.m. I heard banging on my apartment door. I could tell that it was her. I could hear her angered breathing behind the door and she wasn't leaving. I called the police and had her arrested for harassment. That's when I also made a police report about everything I had found and turned it over to the police. The last time I saw her was when I was granted a restraining order against her in court because she started stalking me. The judge also sentenced her to mandatory therapy after all the evidence was brought forth. Ever since then, I've moved far away and I always watch my back.
Thế em bảo về cái hạt gốc của mình ấy, có màu nào thì những màu nào thì guốc nó không ra lông mới. Những màu tối là không. Có màu đâu.